What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mets Talk podcast. And we got a series win to talk about, thankfully, which I had doubts for sure. But the Mets actually beat the Padres, and it would have been nice if they did that when it meant something last year. But we'll take this one, I guess. They're now 7-6 on the year, so very good. And go figure. The game that I'm at was the one that they lost in this series because that's just the way it goes. I need to take a hiatus from going to games. I'm accepting that because
The
I was
one
at
game
both.
you went to.
I was at this loss, both wild card losses. I was at the one loss in the series against Atlanta in that 5-game set. I need to take a break from going to games clearly because I clearly am the problem here. And yeah, it's not good when I go. It's not good, but the Mets now heading out west. We're going to talk about all of it. Before we jump into it, leave a like on the stream if you do enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Met fans, because we got content coming your way the entire season. And also follow both of us on Twitter at CorePython for me, at ThatSportsManiac for Nico. But let's talk about this 3-game set. Hopefully we don't have to go off the rails and rant. We're probably going to. But the first game, Yu Darvish versus Max Scherzer. What could go wrong, right? What could go wrong with a rematch of last year's wild card series? Well, thankfully, there's not really a lot that went wrong. Granted, the Mets kind of got some... They kind of got lucky with some of these hits. They kind of did. There's just no sugarcoating it, but let's talk about it. So the Mets kicked the scoring off in the bottom of the third as Jeff McNeil gets an RBI double to make it a 2-0 ball game, and he ends up advancing the third on that one as well. So driving both runs in, Jeff McNeil doing what he does best there, getting some huge runs. And then Eduardo Escobar, can you believe it? He did something. In the bottom of the 7th, he gets a sacrifice fly. So
Hallelujah.
He did something, but
still barely. No excuse here. Come on, what are we waiting for? We don't even need to say it. Everyone knows. That's a Mets fan.
Yeah. 3 guys just raking in AAA. Anyway, Francisco Lindor gets an RBI double as well in the same inning to make it a 5-0 game, and the Mets held on to win this game. There's not really much to talk about when it comes to the offensive side things, outside of them having 2 really just fortunate, I don't know what you could describe it as, bounces or chalk luck, whatever you want to describe it as. You had Luis Guillorme drop a bunt, stayed on the line perfectly. Tomas Nido just chops at one, and it stays on the line perfectly. So the Mets, 7 hits, 2 of those just by the smallest amount, and the Mets fortunately squeak out this win against the Padres. And the pitching, though, definitely a lot better from Max Scherzer in this one. There was definitely some shaky moments, though, from him and the bullpen, but for the most part, they held it down, so I'm very happy about that. Offensively, I mean, this team just infuriates me when I watch them hit. There's no way around it. Nimmo went 1 for 4. Meh. Lindor went 1 for 3. Sure. McNeil 1 for 4. Sure. There's no one really to highlight in this offense. There's really nobody.
There really is not. As you said, I mean, the pitching was fantastic in this one. Max Scherzer, I thought, looked good. I was worried. Not too optimistic about what he was going to do on the mound this game. Was getting flashbacks of the wild card, potentially reoccurring here again in this one. But he went a solid 5 innings for us. Only gave up 1 hit. Got 6 Ks. So he looked good with the stuff he had. Let up a couple walks, but nothing too extraordinary. So I really like what I saw from Scherzer, and then the bullpen just held it down. John Curtis, Drew Smith, David Robertson, Adam Ottavino, all giving you 1 inning and 2 hits on the day. Holding the Padres to was excellent. And then, as you said, obviously some fugazi hits from Luis Guillorme and Tomas Nido, but Luis Guillorme, he's great at laying down those bunts. So that's good to see. But, I mean, so, yeah, as you said, nothing to really write home about on the hitting side. I mean, Lindor, a couple Ks, which you hate to see. He's been looking a little lost at the plate. He swings at a lot of bad pitches. and it's a problem. But hopefully he could, just keep it going and try and do a little more of what he did. Was it last game or the second game? No, definitely the last game against the Padres, which we'll talk about. But I mean, overall, you had to be happy the Mets getting the 5-0 win. Obviously, not super, super pretty, as you probably would say we're crazy for winning a 5-0 game that it wasn't. But, I mean, the offense still needs to show more consistent hitting because it's not sustainable sometimes what they do at the dish.
Yeah, and Darvish was very hittable in this one. You had to capitalize and jump on that. And for Max Scherzer, it was weird because the velocity for the most part was down and the spin rate was down also. If you look at the Savant page, the only pitch that his spin rate was up on was his curveball. And it's just interesting. He didn't have that many whiffs either throughout the day. So weird, but Darvish, you had to jump on him more. You had to. He's another one. The spin rate was down. He was very hittable. And when he was thrown back out there for that extra inning, I'm glad they capitalized on it, but they need to do better for sure offensively. And yeah, the bullpen, pretty solid. John Curtis got into a bit of trouble, but still held it down. Drew Smith looked pretty solid. David Robertson has been very good throughout this young season. And then Adam Ottavino looked very good, allowed the hit, but ended up getting 3 strikeouts. He did the mellow as well out there when he got the last strikeout, which you love to see. But 3 for 6 with runners in scoring positions, good, but that's not enough scenarios where runners are in scoring position. I can tell you that. And to only draw 1 walk throughout that day when Darvish just didn't really have it, kind of a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mets are a team that they you notice that they chase a lot of pitches, and that's got to be fixed. You got to have more discipline at the plate, and a lot of hitters in this lineup just don't have that. You see Pete, he goes fishing after some bad pitches, as I said, Lindor, Vogelbach, but hopefully the Mets could be better than that. As you said, Darvish should not have it at all, so I mean, the Mets were fortunate enough to obviously get the nice win, but it needs to be better still. And we say that because we know this team could do better. So, I mean, we'll see what happens going forward here because the West Coast trip is going to be a big test for this team that we'll talk about.
I will say I do have doubts, though, that they could do better because this offense just doesn't move the needle for me still. It really doesn't. And it's just feeling like a lot of they're just getting lucky with a lot of things here. Mm-hmm. And, I know that Met fans don't like to hear that, and they didn't like when Spencer Strider said it, but he's kind of on to something with it because, I mean, some of these runs are definitely just kind of fluky in ways. But that takes us to the second game, and this was definitely not a fun one at all. The bats just completely dried up in this one if they were even alive in that last game. First run of the game was from the Mets, though. Mark Hanna gets a sacrifice fly to make it a 1-0 game. Top of the 5th, though, the Padres end up responding with runs of their own as Manny Machado gets a nice double down the line to make it a 2-1 game. And then this blows my mind still, that Buck elected to go to Dennis Santana in a 1-run ball game in the 9th inning, and he let Xander Bogaerts park one in the upper deck to make it a 4-1 game. Mets respond in the bottom of the 9th with a cute little run, making it 4-2. Tommy Pham with the single there. But the Mets could have been in this game, and they could have won this game if there was better decision-making there, because, again, I don't understand why Dennis Santana was in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you're throwing or waving the white flag in, right? Dennis Santana in a 9th inning situation, you're down by a run, and you do that. I did not understand that either from Buck Showalter. I'm with you all day there. Was hoping they went to Ottavino, Robertson. I mean, I don't know, but that was really disappointing to see with the Padres big meat of the order coming up. Bogart's crushing one, so it was disappointing to see. And yeah, this one you were in the building for this one, obviously. So hey, this was rough for you to be there. David Robertson, I thought was good until obviously that fifth inning came around. Then he started to have a little bit of a meltdown. But I mean, as we said, he's just a fill-in right now, waiting for JV. So hopefully this is his last start. But I mean, who knows? Because
Well, we're also waiting for Quintana, which is why I don't think it will be his last start, because I think Carrasco needs to get out of this rotation before Peterson does.
You got a point there for sure. That's a competition of who's battling to stay in the rotation. But I think Carrasco might have to be that guy that gets kicked out with how he's been performing all season so far.
Yeah, and he has a start coming up against the Oakland A's. If you can't perform well against the Oakland A's, you do not deserve to be in this rotation. It's just that simple. But 1-for-8 with runners in scoring position, not going to cut it. The offense, Francisco Alvarez looked lost up there. Get that guy a map, because the amount of high pitch.
Dude was swinging at pitches at his dome.
Yeah, I don't know if it was him trying to be big in the moment there or what, but he looked lost up there at the plate. And then he also, like, why was Tomas Nido ever pitch hitting? I know Guillorme, you didn't want the lefty-lefty matchup, but Tomas Nido, you expected to go in there and get you a hit?
I know. Yeah, that's truly pathetic. You have to resort to Tomas Nido off the bench to go freaking try and rip one. It's not going to happen. That's really bad to go to Tomas Nido in that situation. You just knew there was no hope that dude was going to do anything at the dish there in that big spot, man. Surely enough, it didn't happen. And, I mean, they were making this game interesting. They were making it very interesting in the ninth inning. You had Jeff was on third, I believe, and then you had who was on second. It was who was it?
I could find that out right now.
I mean, yeah, bottom line was they had two runners in scoring position. Francisco Alvarez trying to be a hero, at least bring those runs in. Well, he just couldn't do it.
Yeah, just unacceptable. And then Brandon Nimmo, who I was crucifying this game for being just a walk merchant, he definitely answered the bell in the next game, which we'll talk more about. But yeah, just unacceptable offensive performance yet again from the Mets, and it's becoming a continuous thing, and it's just worrisome. Denny Reyes looked good, though, in this. David Peterson, certainly wasn't his fault that the Mets didn't end up winning this game, but he kept them in it. Brooks Raley did his job. Dennis Santana. That's another scenario where it's like, this is where you need Edwin Diaz, because you could afford to put Robertson or Ottavino into that game in that situation, because I understand Buck probably wanted to save them, which it paid off. He wanted to save them for the day after, but that's where you really miss a guy like Diaz. That's where you miss not bringing back a guy like Trevor May, where you have that luxury to be able to bring in Robertson or Ottavino in that situation. But it's just, unfortunately, they were just not in that spot to be able to do that. But that does take us to the last game, where this was definitely the most impressive win and most impressive performance by the Mets of this series. But again, like, there's still some things to not like. There just still is. And I hate to be a dick, but there just is a lot of concerns. There's too many. Mark Hanna is just an automatic out. Brandon Nimmo, thankfully, he shut me up. He shut me up, having a big day, going 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Very happy with that. There's just a lot of questions still with this lineup, and it's a problem. But let's talk about this. With the top of the first, Padres get on the board nice and early. Juan Soto just kills one to the Shea Bridge and makes it a 2-0 game very early on. Thankfully, in the bottom of the second, the Mets get to run their own. Gold Glover, Juan Soto, making a great play out there in the outfield as the ball goes over him, and Brandon Nimmo gets an RBI double. Again, another little lucky break there for the Mets. And then in the bottom of the third, Francisco Lindor gets a home run to tie the game at 2. Pete Alonso in the bottom of the fifth. I don't know why Blake Snell left that pitch there. Apparently there was an issue with the pitch comm, but he ended up leaving one right down the pipe to Pete Alonso, and he kills it, makes it a 3-2 game. Bottom of the sixth, Brandon Nimmo gets an RBI single to make it a 4-2 game, and then Tommy Pham in the bottom of the seventh makes it a 5-2 game. Mets hold on to win the game, and Tyler McGill, I'm very happy with his outing. Definitely a rough first inning, but he settled in after letting up that home run nicely. So happy with what we got from him. And again, for him to allow just 2 runs, I'm not gonna complain at all from that.
Yeah, he settled in big time after the first inning. I like what we've seen so far from Tyler McGill this season. He's really stepping up big, and he did just really good after that first inning. He didn't allow anything else. Went 5 innings, struck out only 3 batters, but he was getting outs, and that's all you could ask for. And then, yeah, thank gosh, the bats actually got going a decent amount in this one. Brandon Nimmo finally not being a walk merchant, getting some timely hits for the Mets, getting a couple RBIs, which was good to see. I mean, Marte was kind of a ghost in this one, but Lindor and Alonso in that 3-4 getting 2 home runs apiece, or not apiece, 2 home runs together. That's what we need. Those two need to be more consistent and give us those big home runs, because that is considered the stars of this team and the best part of the hitting. So we expect big things from them, and they gave it in this one. So they gotta keep that up. Mark Hanna, as you said, that dude is an automatic out. But I mean, Tommy Pham stepping up again, solid.
Escobar.
That dude, he's getting booed. He's at an all-time low, but it's all right because he's good in the clubhouse, right? That's why we're keeping him in on this team, which is, what is this?
I still think it has to do with his money more than that, to be honest.
Yeah, to cover it up.
But I'm sure the clubhouse thing also is another factor.
Yeah.
And then Tomas Nido, he's swinging he's swinging a string of spaghetti up there. He's just not good.
We really miss Omar Narvaez with how these catchers are performing right now.
Yeah, because Francisco Alvarez just does not look ready at all.
He doesn't.
And it's just unfortunate because he was the one guy out of the 4 top prospects that was struggling, yet he's the one here because of an injury. It's just ridiculous that that's the way it goes. But Brooks Raley, he got into some trouble in this outing. Drew Smith got into some trouble in this outing. Robertson got in some trouble in this outing. Ottavino was really the only one in the bullpen that didn't really make me sweat in this game. Mm-hmm. But I'm not mad with Robertson struggling a bit because he's been lights out so far. It's gonna happen. He's gonna have a bad outing one of these times, and he's gonna let up a run in one of these outings. It's just inevitable. But Drew Smith, I don't understand why Buck continues to let him sit in the dugout and then go back out for another inning, because he's notoriously bad in those situations. And yeah, Brooks Raley, another outing where it's just concerning from him, and I don't understand why. I just don't. His spin rate down yet again, velocity down yet again. I'm confused with what's going on. I don't need Joe Elliott 2.0. I really don't.
Please. Yeah, they seem to be only going up with Joe Elliott, with the lefty out of the pen. Brooks Raley was looking really good too, or not really good, but he was looking good for the Mets the first couple outings he had, and now he is really slowing down ever since that game against the Marlins on opening day. Even before that, I think he had a pretty rough time. But yeah, it's definitely concerning. He's got to pick it up, get that spin rate and velocity back up where it needs to be, and we'll be good.
If only there was a lefty free agent that they could have had at least 3 different times now. If only there was that guy, pitching in Arizona right now, doing solid. If only there was that guy.
I just would never understand the Mets. Like, how do you not, when he's wide open on the market, go get yourself an Andrew freaking Chafin?
I'm
Doesn't make
looking
sense.
at their Savant pages side by side, and I want to throw up right now with how much blue there is on Rayleigh's page.
Oh
It's
gosh.
so ugly. Oh my God. Yeah, and then Andrew Chafin has not allowed a single run this season.
Be nice. It would be nice. Only if our $350 million payroll team would go out and just sign a measly bullpen piece like that to really
Appler knows
help.
better than us, so Rayleigh was the guy.
Yeah, exactly. What do we know, right?
I didn't even realize Rayleigh's older too. That makes sense. Go with that guy.
Uh,
And is Rayleigh? Now I'm intrigued. Was he just a one season wonder last year, or is he
he might have had a little insanity run.
a spoon sanity run?
He definitely could have.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah, he definitely had a spoon sanity run. Last year he was lights out. Other than that, his ERA's been sniffing around the fives the rest of his career.
Not good enough. Not good enough at all.
Yeah. Sure. Sure, Epler. I gotta ask the question. I know that a lot of Met fans probably hate us because we're brutally honest with this team and because we don't like the sugarcoat things. We like to just be open, share our frustration, and just be that way. But I gotta pose the question: are the Mets fugazi? I gotta pose the question.
Are the New York Mets fugazi? Like, what do we mean by like fugazi? Like, they're just like not a playoff team type fugazi, and like we expect playoffs, and they're just not going to do it, or like just in general, they're a fugazi team.
I I describe it as they overachieve. They get these weird wins, and like, sure, they might make the playoffs, but like, should they?
Okay.
Given the current status, and I mean, obviously with the payroll, you'd hope they make the playoffs, but I mean,
yeah. I mean, in that case, I do sadly think the Mets are a little bit of a fugazi ball club. I just don't know. There's too much just hitting in the lineup. It's so inconsistent, and when they do get the hits, obviously they're wacky, and they're just not going to be sustainable at all. You have in the starting pitching rotation two freaking 40-year-olds that are leading the way, and then Carlos Carrasco, David Peterson. Who knows what Jose Quintana is going to be? I hope he's good, but like, I just don't know. The bullpen too. It's like when Edwin Diaz, of course, got hurt, we knew it was not that talented. They've been pretty good thus far, but I just don't know how they're going to fare down the line here. And I don't know, like we say Lindor, like everyone goes crazy about it, how he's this big player, but if you really watch him, is he that guy? I just don't know.
is he him?
Yeah, I don't know if Francisco Lindor's him. Pete Alonso, look, he's leading the league in home runs, I believe. Hopefully that stays. He could stay near the top of that list, but Jeff McNeil, I mean, he's bound to do worse than last year. Brandon Nimmo looks shaky. And then obviously we know that bottom of the order is very just, what's the word? Automatic out. Like, so I hate to say it. I do think the New York Mets will make the playoffs still, but that's like a wild card 2 or 3 at this point.
Yeah, my answer is, of course, yes, they are fugazi. I hate to be an asshole, but I just look at the way that this team is constructed, and there's just way too many flaws. You have your rotation anchored by two 40-year-olds that could go down at any moment, and as we've seen with Scherzer, can struggle at any moment because of the fact that his age is just getting to him. You have this poorly constructed lineup where it's way too top heavy and there's just not enough of a supporting cast around the lineup. And then you look at the bullpen. You have guys that should not even be in the major leagues in this bullpen. Denny Reyes, he's having a nice little run here, should not be in the bullpen. Dennis Santana has good stuff, doesn't know where it's going, should not be in the bullpen. Brooks Raley, way too shaky for me. Way too shaky for me. And then you have other guys, Steven Nagosic. I mean, is he really a major league caliber reliever? I don't know about that one. And then you look at the bench. You have not enough guys that could come off the bench and make an impact. Tim LeCastro, he'll steal a base. Okay, cool.
You got your pinch runner. Nothing more.
Luis Guillorme. Why I just am trying to understand what his purpose is on this roster. He has a great glove. Sure. Nobody's denying that. But is that valuable when he's playing left bench? No. It's not. It's not valuable. And then you have the only time really that you have an impact, the only bats is depending on who's playing between Vogelbach and Pham. That's the only time you really have a bat that can come off the bench and maybe make an impact. And it's not a big impact. Eduardo Escobar cannot be in this lineup. Mark Hanna cannot be in this lineup. And both of them getting severely, grossly overpaid. I actually need to see what is their
Didn't we
contract
sign
looking like.
Canna for like 4 years? Ugh, that is disgusting.
3 or 4, and he's making like $14 million.
Thank God Escobar's at least out after the season. But
Is he?
I think I would be very disappointed if he's not, because I'm pretty sure it was a 2-year deal. Maybe like a player or club option the third.
Yeah, Mark Canna's making $11 million. He's making almost as much as Artemi Panarin.
That must be nice to make $11 million to go up there and swing and do nothing with the bat. That's a dream.
And be a hit by pitch merchant.
Yeah.
Okay, both of them have club options after this year, so they're both
going
to be probably going to be gone after this year.
Mm-hmm.
Although Eduardo Escobar should be gone by the middle of this year. He shouldn't be here. If he's still on this team by May or June, are we even serious?
We can't be taken serious if that's still a scenario. Like, if Beatty's not called up by like mid-May, the latest, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, there's just no excuse. There's no excuse, and I'm just seeing some dead space for the Mets right now. Robinson Cano, James McCann, Darren Ruff. James McCann was hitting 4th for the Orioles last night, which is.
I got a nice. Was that yesterday where he got like a clutch RBI?
No, it was the day before.
That was the day before.
Cleanup James McCann doesn't do that. Cleanup James McCann goes 0-4.
I didn't know the Orioles were that bad. I mean, they're doing decent so far. But
yeah, and then yesterday, 2 through 5, you had for the Giants Conforto, Davis. I forgot. Actually,
Flores,
no.
I think.
Yeah, I forgot exactly
the
the
order. Flores,
Conforto, Davis, Ruff.
That doesn't make you giggle.
And Darren Ruff hit a freaking RBI double. Frank the Tank was just not having it at all.
Oh, man. No Mets fans were having that, but yeah, especially him. I thought it was a home run at first when I was looking at it, but at least it wasn't it, but it was a beautiful hit right in the gap that we've literally never seen at all when he was with the Mets.
I love the replies everyone under Frank the Tank's tweet about it. Just it's like he was doing the chop around the bases.
Yeah, there's some funny memes under that post for sure.
But again, like this team just has way too many flaws. They do, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's help on the way with Verlander, I guess. Sure. There's no help on the way in the bullpen because Tommy Hunter coming back is just not going to move the needle for me. Omar Narvaez coming back, I guess, would help a bit, but outside of that, I got nothing.
Yeah, I mean the Mets, it's tough. It really is. They have some injury, as we said. Like you got Verlander's gonna come back soon. Narvaez is injured, obviously. Quintana. You have who else is out? Obviously Diaz which sucks. And there was a interview with him yesterday, but
yeah, he thinks he's gonna come back this year.
I love the optimism, but I mean, just let it go. It's not happening. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the Mets' plan is. Like, how are you approaching things here with your prospects? Like, the trade deadline. Like, what are you going to be doing there? Are you going to be
nobody.
Like, there really isn't. So, I don't know. The Mets are just in a spot where you have so many just subpar hitters that it's not enough to like go and make a deep run. It just isn't. You're not competing with some of these teams. Like, I know you beat the Padres in that series, but come playoffs and down the road here, your bats are not keeping up with them. Yeah, they get Tatis too, exactly. So it's just really tough to determine this team as a top tier contender right now at all. So I know some Mets fans still like to hold on to it, but I mean, we're just gonna keep it real with you and say it's just not a team that could be up there. It just isn't. And we hate to say it, but I mean, it's the truth.
I'm just looking at who they could target at this year's deadline. Shohei Ohtani's there. If the Angels, which, I mean, I shouldn't say if, when the Angels are inevitably out of playoff contention. But the problem is the Mets love to hold on to their prospects, yet not play them, which I just can't wrap my head around the double standards there.
Mm-hmm.
You have... I'm just looking at this and I can't help but laugh. You have Javi Baez, who has an opt-out after this year. He's not opting out. That guy sucks.
God awful. Wow.
Joey Votto's 40 years old, making $22 million. No thanks. Jock Peterson is probably your best bad option after that, because I don't think the Giants are going to be in it. Michael Conforto. It wouldn't shock me if the Mets went back to Michael Conforto. If the White Sox miss it, you have a couple names there. You have Yasmani Grandal. You have help for the bullpen when Liam Hendricks comes back, which good on him for beating cancer too.
About to deal with them.
Yeah, in the offseason.
Eloy Jimenez potentially too in it. That would be wow. I don't
see like a move like that would move the needle for me and actually, maybe get me to sit here and say that they're not the Fugazis. As Biz would say, they're the for realsies. But
yeah,
I don't know what Liam Hendricks' timeline is to return, but that would be something that I would be very interested in, because the only thing is you got to get on that trade early, because there's no computers in Chicago with the White Sox at all. There's zero. They're dinosaurs there, another dinosaur organization. But Charlie Blackmon at 37 years old, I'm all right.
These are all expiring contracts.
Yes. Cody Bellinger. No. Evan Longoria. No. Brandon Crawford. He has nowhere to play on this team.
Evan Longoria reeks of a Mets move.
Oh, it does. Evan Longoria definitely reeks of a Mets move. I'm trying to look at teams that are going to be out of contention. The problem is there's no guy to help. There's no single move that helps this team.
There's nothing that's
outside of them getting Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. There's not. And does Shohei Ohtani really help address all the Mets' problems right now?
He doesn't have to address all of them, but he sure does address a good amount, in my opinion.
We're talking differently. If the Mets could go out there and somehow Billy Epler could pull off some stupid good GM work, go out and get Shohei Ohtani, Liam Hendricks, and then Eloy in that same deal.
We owe him an apology if he does that.
Oh, we definitely owe him an apology if he does that. We definitely do. He's cooking with gas then at that point. But the problem is that he loves holding on to prospects. He's just not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not going to do it. I'm pretty sure he was hesitant to give up Mark Vientos in a Liam Hendricks, Eloy Jimenez deal.
I remember that. Yeah, that was definitely something he was hesitant to do. I don't get it, because you want to hold on to them so bad, but yeah, you just have them rotting in AAA. It just is so mind-boggling. It makes no sense. And if Mark Vientos is what's holding you back from getting a package of those two together, my goodness, we're in trouble.
Yeah, and the problem with trading for Shohei Ohtani too is they're not gonna want anyone from the Mets. Or there's not gonna be a good enough package. You have to give up a king's ransom to get Shohei Ohtani, and I don't think that king's ransom exists because they're not gonna want Alvarez. They have Logan O'Hoppe, who's doing great for them, so they're good at catcher for the foreseeable future. They're going to want pitching prospects because we know the Angels have no pitching. They're allergic to getting good pitchers.
No, we don't have any of that.
Matt Allen's on the shelf. You have Blake Tidwell, who is just not really a needle mover prospect there. I'm trying to think of other pitching prospects. I'm sure there's one I'm forgetting that's obvious, but regardless, you don't have good enough pitching prospects. Oh, yeah, Calvin Ziegler was the other one that I was thinking of. But he's not a needle mover either. Eric Orzi certainly isn't. These Mets pitching prospects just aren't good enough. And then you get to the hitting. Ronnie Mauricio would be a nice player for them to get because they have a glaring hole on that left side of the infield. Giovanni Urshela is playing shortstop for them. They could use a Ronnie Mauricio in that lineup. And especially if you're losing Ohtani, you need a guy like that to fill the void. Mark Vientos, they're paying a shit ton of money to Anthony Rendon, so they're not going to be interested in a Mark Vientos unless they have him play first base. But even then, I think first base they're good there. Alex Ramirez, I don't think he's really intriguing for the Angels. There's just not enough here for the Mets to go out and get Shohei Ohtani at the deadline. There isn't.
Yeah, there truly is not. You don't want to give up Brett Beatty in a deal for Shohei Ohtani. You know they're gonna want him, but
I don't even know if they'd want him.
You don't think so?
They're paying a
they
certain
do
amount of money to Anthony Rendon. That's I just don't know. Maybe because you can move Rendon to DH and then have Beatty play third or something like that. But Brett Beatty is not. He's probably not a needle mover either. Are you going to trade Beatty and Mauricio in the same deal?
Yeah, you can't do that. Especially if Shohei Ohtani goes and walks in the offseason. God forbid,
That would be a Mets thing.
That would. Oh, my God. So, yeah, there's probably no shot they're getting Ohtani at the deadline. I don't even... The Angels probably won't even move him. I mean, it depends what's going on with their season. I don't even know how they're doing right now. What are they?
They're first in the division.
Oh, so they're actually, they're doing pretty good. At 7-5. So, I mean, who knows what the deal's going to be with him, but you have to try and just get Shohei Ohtani to Queens next year any way you could. He fills two huge problems with what he does with the bat and what he does on the mound. Max Scherzer obviously will be gone next year.
No, he won't. He opted into that contract.
He did, right? Oh, my God. I forgot about that. Yeah, he had the third.
Which he'd be stupid not to. He said because he loves the organization. No, Max, you would just be stupid not to.
Dude wants the bag because he's not going to get that anywhere else nowadays. So, oh yeah, shoot, I forgot that was a player's option.
Yep.
Damn. But yeah, the Mets obviously could still afford a Shohei Ohtani, and they gotta get him. They gotta get him. Simple as that. I wish Manny Machado was still available. I really wanted him, but that was disappointing to see. He signed the extension with San Diego. Juan Soto, I mean, he appears in the picture, not this offseason, the next one, but I don't know.
Going to wait with two 40-year-olds anchoring the rotation? Are we going to wait till then?
Yeah, you can't. You just can't do it. The time is now, next year at the latest, before these guys are done. So I don't know what the Mets are going to do. I really am just interested to see how they approach things these next couple months, the deadline, and where they are by just August, September. I'm interested to see. It should be a fascinating season here.
Yeah, and this king's ransom for Ohtani doesn't exist. We don't have an answer. I am sure that Twitter at least doesn't have a competent answer. So that's out of the question. Shohei Ohtani's out of the picture. I don't even know if Liam Hendricks and or Eloy Jimenez is in the picture because they love holding on to top prospects. So who are we looking at? You have guys like Sean Manaea available, Ross Stripling. You have Alex Wood, Zach Greinke, Jorge Soler, Mike Clevenger. Like, these names just aren't exciting. Justin Turner, bring him back? Are we going to have a Justin Turner reunion?
That's something else that the Mets would definitely do. Yeah, he signed a 1-year deal in Boston, right?
Yeah. There is an option with it, though, a player option. So that might make the Mets hesitant about it. I wonder next offseason if they're going to revive this Matt Chapman thing with the season he's having. I think it would be a huge mistake because sure, if he has a good season, it just scares me that he might have a good season. The Mets go out and sign him because we know what's going to happen with this. We know it's just not going to go well going forward. We just know that because he hasn't been good enough the past 3-4 years, and they're going to pay him off of one good season potentially after this year.
I wouldn't love that. He's always been known for his glove, not as much as a great hitter. And you said he's doing great in Toronto this year, but like, we're going to sign him at his peak. And then when he comes to the Mets, we know he's just going to bat 220.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Matt Chapman. I'm preying on your downfall because it would be such a Mets thing to do to go out and acquire him after one good season.
It would be. Yeah, I mean, he's I don't know. He became a free agent after this offseason. I mean, the Blue Jays aren't going to trade him because
but yeah, to finish up what Nico was saying, Matt Chapman, he's going to be a free agent this offseason, and he's known with the glove, known to be good with the glove, has 3 gold gloves. Granted, I don't take too much stock into that award. Toronto, I don't know if they're going to extend him because he's probably going to, if he has a good season, he's going to demand a absurd amount of money, surely. And is that worth it for a guy that has not been, he hasn't sustained these type of numbers that he's putting up in the early season enough of his career? So I don't know if he's not the answer, surely. This offseason, are you going to swipe Aaron Nola from the Phillies? Is he the guy too? I just don't know. Like, and the payroll's already an absurd number right now for the Mets. How much further are they going to go with this payroll? Because I can't imagine it going further. But the problem is the payroll's so high, but they're spending it in the wrong areas.
Yeah, sorry about that. Someone wants to put the vacuum on in the house. But as we were saying, you were talking about, with Chapman, we said you don't want to sign him at just the max value. He's going to be in for a payday if he keeps this season up, and it's just going to only go down from there. But you also, I heard mention Aaron Nola. Who else?
That's really all I mentioned. But for Matt Chapman too, we saw the Blue Jays just let Marcus Semien walk after an MVP caliber season. Yeah. I highly doubt they're going to pay Matt Chapman off of one good season if he has a good season. They'd be stupid to, because we know it's not sustainable. We just know it. And how old is he at this point? Let's find out, because he is 29. Okay. We know that this isn't like him. Oh, he's hitting his prime. Wait a second. This is going to be the Matt Chapman going forward. No, that's just not the case. He's not the guy. If they don't get Ohtani next offseason, there's no guy single player that they can acquire next offseason where it's like, wow, this is the move that puts the Mets over the top. they'd have to spend on multiple guys. You're probably talking about them having to acquire a guy like Julio Urias to get in the rotation. And then for the lineup, I mean, there's just not really a needle mover coming up this offseason at all. So I don't know where you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really not just one player that the Mets need, and that's going to really do big things for them because you're looking at definitely multiple holes. You need bullpen pieces. You need pitchers that are young and have potential to be good. Like Hodai saying, he was a great signing. The Mets need more like that in the rotation, not these old 40-year-olds that their arms going to fall off by the end of the year. They need just they need to get younger. Like at least in the rotation. And then hitters, you have Canna. He can't be in the lineup. Escobar can't be in the lineup. These catchers, it's a problem. Vogel back at the DH. Like, I don't know. Like, there needs to be so many holes addressed, and the Mets didn't do it this offseason. Like, what did they do? Yeah, you got Justin Verlander. You replaced DeGrom, obviously, in that, but
it was all lateral moves, which we talked about.
Yeah,
and then it was Carlos Correa, where that was the move where it's like, wow, this is not a lateral move. This is putting them over the top. This is gonna complete their lineup. And then of course that fell through. So it's like, and then you look at next offseason with Manny Machado off the board, which I'm still shocked that he signed an extension in San Diego. He could have got a stupid amount of money
from Steve Cohen.
Or even maybe a reunion with the Dodgers was possible with an absurd amount of money, because I don't think they're content with Max Muncy at third base. No. So they could have easily thrown the bag at him too. So I just wonder why Manny Machado did that, because he would have been the guy offensively at the very least next offseason. Pitching wise, I'm not worried. The Mets could get good pitchers next offseason, but oh wait, they're not, because they're locked up to JV and Scherzer. So the only guy that they would get that would drastically improve the rotation is Ohtani, because he drastically improves the lineup as well. But I don't foresee them going after Julio Urias, who they should be going after. 27 years old. That's the guy that I want.
Yeah, that would be ideal. I don't know off the top of my head who else. Sorry, I mean, you listed some that will be free agents. None of them were too eye-catching, but there's names that the Mets definitely can go out there and get. And let's just hope they do it and get Shohei Ohtani. That's the number one priority. That has to be for the Mets.
They have to get him.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the bats, it's just you want to vomit. You want to vomit at the names that are available offensively. Are they going to do it? Are they going to get Jesse Winker finally?
Jesse Winker. Yeah, the Mets could use Jesse Winker right about now, honestly.
It's sad that we're even saying that. I'm just looking at the names offensively for next offseason, and I'm not excited.
Yeah. You have to do anything you could. I know. He says his preference is to say West. But Steve Cohen, he's lured players here before, like Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander. And I don't know, I remember, like, Max Scherzer especially, like, I don't know how much interest he did have with coming to the Mets. I mean, he did waive that. He didn't want to wait for the Mets, I remember, at the deadline. I don't know if Steve Cohen did wonders, but I remember, didn't he say something about not wanting to wait for the Mets? I don't know what the reason was again, but I don't know, maybe he got to him, and Steve Cohen did a lot of good convincing, so hopefully you can do the same with Ohtani. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm trying to wonder, too. Is there a Matt Chapman type that the Mets could acquire? And by that, I mean, Oakland, he was under contract for two more years, and Toronto acquired him. Is there a guy that's under contract for 2 more years or 3 more years that they could go out and acquire outside of Eloy Jimenez? Don't think so, because the guy was Soto. They missed that opportunity. And in hindsight, they probably regret not trading guys like Alvarez to go and get Soto. So
yeah. I really wish. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, Alex Verdugo is like the only other name that I could throw out there that is under contract for an extra year that maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, not good.
Yeah. I was gonna say just like I don't know how true the Rafael Devers smoke was this offseason.
He just signed an extension. He's
Yeah,
not
he
going
signed
anywhere.
the extension anyway, so I was gonna say that. But you got to figure like if the Mets really tried, they could have probably got him. I don't know how you would have felt about that, but he's having a solid year so far with the Red Sox.
I mean,
And
I would have been all in on that, 100%.
yeah, I would have loved some Rafi Devers. I know you would have to go up a lot, but I think I don't know. I think it was pretty real their interest. What do you say?
Yeah, but we can't give up Vientos.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's got to play. He's got to help those Syracuse Mets out. We can't do that.
Exactly. That's why the Mets can't pull off trades. They're too hesitant.
They're too worried about the Syracuse Mets.
Yeah, they're probably like the best team in AAA, right?
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, we want our minor league team to be just as good as our regular baseball team. Yeah.
So, you and I have spent like a solid 20, 30 minutes discussing options for the Mets going forward, and we have not come up with a solution.
We have not accomplished anything with it, which is concerning.
And I just don't think that there's any way of like Epler's. I sure doesn't have an answer either. Twitter doesn't have an answer. Nobody has an answer as to what the Mets could do if they miss out on Shohei Ohtani. There's no backup. There's no, oh, let's go get this guy instead. There's none of that. It's Ohtani or bust next offseason.
That's what it is, 100%. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, and it sucks because you really don't see any solid free agents until 2026.
Wow.
When you
that
have
does not fit our timeline.
When you have the Mets finally being able to correct the error that they've made at least 50 times and go out and get JT Realmuto, who will be probably like 36 at the time. But you could finally correct that mistake if you want to. It would be a Mets thing to do to sign him when he's 36 and, could barely catch anymore. Probably will have to be a DH. That wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities.
That's so going to happen.
Bo Bichette is available that offseason. I mean, even then, it's like the list kind of ends there. It's like,
I don't even know what to think. Like, that's far away still. And, I mean, Steve Cohen's timeline is kicking in now when he said a few years ago, like, I want a World Series in the next 5 years, I believe he said? Like in 2020 or something?
Yeah.
So, I mean, time is ticking. Let's go. It's time to win something. But, I mean, with how things are looking, I don't know how confident I am at all.
They really fumbled not getting Kyle Schwarber, too.
Kyle Schwarber would have been another nice pickup. It really would have.
Yeah. I just can't think of an organization that fumbles as much as the Mets.
It's
like
really
you just look at the history of guys they were linked to and things like that, and it's just like, it's like, wow, you could build a all-star caliber roster with guys that the Mets have been linked to but didn't end up acquiring. You could build a very good team with that.
Yeah.
This is just, I was concerned to begin with, but this has just made it worse. I got to be honest. This conversation just made things worse because I really just don't know. I just don't.
I don't know what the direction the future of this Mets team is going to be. Really, hearing these names is scary that there's just nobody. like everyone's just like all these good players are locked up. It feels like to long-term deals, and the Mets don't have enough talent. Simple as that. For how much of a payroll this team has, they need more superstars. If
And
they don't even have a superstar.
I was gonna say they don't have a superstar. They don't even have one. With the amount that they're spending, they don't have one superstar. And spare me Francisco Lindor, spare me Pete Alonso. No.
They're stars.
They're
not
stars, they're
superstars.
not superstars.
Stars could be even a little generous sometimes. I mean, don't you think? Or is that getting a little crazy?
That's fair. Well, at least with Lindor, Alonso, I'd say, is like a bona fide star. Lindor, at times,
he looks like your average MLB player.
Yeah,
especially with that contract.
And there's no denying his glove is good, but you're not getting paid that much because of your glove.
Yeah,
you're just not.
Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
And this, like, I just want to vomit after this conversation because it's like, I don't know.
Makes you scared for the future of this team, this organization. It's truly demoralizing. That's the word.
Yep, and we know that if somehow, some way, something happens in San Diego with Tatis again, and he's available, we know damn well the Mets will not be on the phone to try and pick him up.
No doubt.
So it's like, where do we go? And to that, we just don't have an answer. I'm sorry that we spent 30 minutes trying to come up with an answer to not find one, but that's just the way it went.
Maybe someone else has an idea for us. If you do, let us know. But I don't know if we couldn't find it for 30 minutes. Just don't know if there is one.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the Mets answer the next offseason is signing Clayton Kershaw. Like,
oh, that's another such a Mets move.
Yasmani Grandal this offseason. When
has Yasmani been? I feel like has he not been good this season, or
I have no idea.
Check real quick.
But he's 35 years old. That's all I know, and I have to say no thanks. For that. He's not going to be catching soon.
263 average and a home run and 5 RBIs.
Okay.
I mean, compared to our catchers, would love some of that, but
nope. Tomas needs defense. No.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really trying to search still for this answer, and I just don't have it. I don't.
Yep.
Unless there's some... unless there's something that we're missing here. Like, maybe there's someone we're just not
something
thinking
not
of.
coming to mind. Someone not coming to mind.
Yeah, unless there's something along those lines. To say I'm concerned is an understatement.
Crazy to think, because when we signed Carlos Correa, when we thought we had, I thought this team was just such a good ball club going forward, and there was no concerns we were gonna win the World Series and be this whole.
And we thought we owed Epler an apology.
Yeah, we definitely didn't. We definitely did not.
Yeah, we definitely don't owe him an apology.
Yeah, bring that meme out instead.
I just want to cry too, because I don't know why I keep ruining my day here. I'm looking at the difference between the Mets, who are first in payroll, and the Yankees that are in second in payroll. And the difference, it's such a large gap, and it's just like the Yankees are just the better team.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why is it this way?
There's debates all offseason who's the better team, but I think it's really come to light now who is. And it's sad, but the team over in the Bronx clears us right now.
I mean, the fact that the Mets, like, didn't even get on the phone with Aaron Judge this offseason. It's just like,
Yeah, even that too. Because out of respect.
yeah, because we got to respect the Yankees. It's like, if they could steal Jay Bruce from us, we could steal Aaron Judge from them.
True. Very, very true. Jay Bruce.
We stole Todd Frazier from them. What's the issue?
Exactly. Wouldn't hurt to do the same with Aaron Judge.
Carlos Carrasco's making $14 million.
That's another joke.
They picked up that option, by the way. The Mets had the choice to let him go, and they said, no, we want Carrasco for $14 million.
We want Cookie. Huh.
Yeah. I really think that's all that I got. I was going to do a prospect update as well, but I think you guys just know at this point that...
Got prospects that are pretty good. Pretty good at the sport of baseball. But
the Mets are doing everything in their power to ruin them, because why do what the Atlanta Braves are doing? Why do what a better team than us is doing? Why do any of that? That's not a smart idea. Let's stay clear of that.
Don't understand our top two teams that we root for, the Mets, and then along with the Rangers, they just do anything in their power to not have prospects live up to expectations and just have to go through external options to get good players. It's so sucky to see.
Yeah. God, people must hate our podcast because we just bring it so down. We just bring any good thing about the Mets so down, and it's just we don't want to.
We're just this is the New York Mets we're talking about here. They've just made us so miserable. I think a lot of people could relate. How could we be positive with what the Mets have done over the course of our life of being fans? We want to be positive. Don't get us wrong, but it's hard sometimes with this team.
Yeah, it's we don't want to be this way, but it's we're just being realistic here, and we're just getting ourselves prepared for the inevitable, so we're not let down when it happens.
Exactly. This is a good way of prepping ourselves for the inevitable disappointment. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, because unless any of these prospects are the next Barry Bonds, which I'm hyped about Beatty, Mauricio, Vientos as much as the next guy, but I just don't see any of these prospects being superstars.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair.
It is definitely fair.
I could see them being stars, not superstars, though, because all of them have questions with their defense. So it's you can't be a superstar when you aren't good on both sides of the ball. So, yeah, nice half hour of searching for answers, not finding them. Kind of like my life, So, this is nothing new here. Pull out the mellow meme. But do you have anything to add before we wrap things up as the Mets head out to Oakland? We demand a sweep.
Better sweep that series. I mean, on this whole West Coast trip, how many games do we have? Is it 3 against all of each of the...
There's a 1-4 game set in there.
Okay, so
I think it's against the Giants.
10 games on the road trip, 3 against Oakland, 3 against LA, Dodgers, and then 4 against San Francisco. The New York Mets, you got to give me 7-3. I want 7-3.
Give me 7-3 if you want me to feel confident. But we know Darren Ruff's going to have his legacy game in at least one of them.
Each game of the series, all 4 games, you can have a
Flores
legacy game, Davis legacy game, Conforto legacy game, Ruff.
If Conforto's healthy, he got taken out of the game yesterday, so that shoulder back at it again, probably.
Shoulder boy.
I mean, we said it, we said it with them, so it's nothing new. But I think that's where we're gonna wrap things up. We appreciate all of you tuning in. If you guys are Ranger fans, we got a big podcast episode coming out on Sunday, so be on the lookout for that. The next Mets podcast, let's quickly try to fill you guys in on when that might be. Because that, I guess we'll try after the Oakland series. We'll have extra time because of the games being late, thankfully. So we'll have time to do a podcast episode like later on in the day before some of these games. So we'll either do it after the Oakland series or the LA series. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And because the MLB website just doesn't want to cooperate and I can't get the schedule up, which is just awesome.
No.
There we go. Now I could. If it wants to load. There we go. So yeah, maybe I was going to say maybe Monday night, but if the Rangers are playing game 1, then that's just not going to cut it. So we'll shoot for Monday, but if the Rangers have a playoff game, we'll probably just do it after that LA series, and we'll either do it on Wednesday night after that last game against the Dodgers, or we'll do it Thursday before the game against the Giants. So we'll shoot for Monday, worst case Wednesday or Thursday next week, but I think that's all. Finally. But do you have anything else said?
I do not. Just please go out and win some baseball games. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, change our opinions, make us look like idiots. But that's going to be it for us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Follow both of us on Twitter at That Sports Maniac for Nico, at Core Python for me. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.